isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
And welcome to a brand new episode. Oh my goodness. Welcome to a brand new episode of Crush This, the Monster Truck Podcast, everybody. My name is Brad Shaw, also known as the Monster Truck Canucker. And with me, as always, drinking his Chick-fil-A. Oh, he's dead now. Okay. Is Mr. Dan Chichagash. Dan, how you doing, bro?
Good.
Just good?
I'm just kidding. No, I'm doing just fine.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm doing good. We're getting ready for the Champaign County Fair here. Thursday, July 29th. Getting ready for some, just released news that Scott Douglas is going to be announcing that show. So it's going to be,
nice.
I think it's one of the first times in a long time that Scott Douglas is going to be interviewing someone behind the wheel, Bigfoot. So that's going to be pretty neat. Not going to lie about that. You know, it's a stack lineup. 3 of the Hall Brothers trucks, Raminator, Ammunition, and Hotsy. Reptoid and Samson are going to be driven by Rick Stevens. And then you got Bigfoot, and I don't know who's going to be behind the wheel. It could be Darren, it could be Rebecca, or someone out of retirement. So we don't know. We don't know at all. We'll find out when we find out. So there's going to be some tough trucks, ugly truck, show and shine, stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty cool. Outside of that, that's what we'll be doing. I'll be going to Montana on Friday for our car crush, and pretty much that's pretty much if anyone's taking shots, just did 7 times, so that's 7 shots for you. Pretty much. But we'll go from there. And once again, man, I don't know what's going on. Brain farting, a lot of things been going on lately, and
well, you got the RC event coming up at the Hall Brothers Shop, the open house.
Yes, November 20th.
Yeah,
take a look at that. Bunch of RC stuff going on: retro, sport mod, pro mod, LMT spec. Big time help with the. Thank you for the Trigger King group for letting me borrow the ramps that are going to be there. There's also thank you to J Concepts, thank you to Horizon/Losi, and thank you to Cal RC for their donations and their prizes and stuff like that. There's prizes, giveaways, stuff like that. So racing sign up, stores open at 7:30 a.m. Racing starts between 9 or 9:30. So that's a pretty cool news going on there. Once again, I want to thank Joe Sylvester, the High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, Joey Sylvestrian, High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, also Back Channel Productions, 6B Apparel, JB Scale Graphics, and Mr. Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday!
Maybe that's the reason why I'm stuttering all day. The creator of the Making Tracks, Mr. Justice Stories. Happy birthday! I heard you're turning 29, dude. And I don't know, 29, whatever, you know.
Hey, if he's 29, he's almost away from the old farts club, turning into 30s. He's almost reached us.
Yeah, buddy. So wish him a happy birthday, and
if I had a little the thing, I'd blow it right now, but I don't. But I have this.
Remember,
I have my.
You don't have
my
the
hand,
Today Show.
I have my hand from IKEA.
I'm gonna play that. Keep him busy. I'm gonna play his happy birthday song.
But I just wanted to, everything's good on my end. hoping the trip to the States happens. Travel restrictions might delay it a little bit. Don't know what's going on with that yet. Oh, Justin's 30, so he's reached the he's reached the club.
He has reached the club. That's awesome. He has reached the 30 club, and I want to find a song that says happy da na 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 na, hey, happy birthday. That'd be cool. But once again, thank you for all the people that has helped us out.
Yeah.
Once again, 6B Apparel, $100 a pop. Our uniforms. Just contact me and Brad, and 6B will make it. Also, once again, take a look at Nick Davis and Back Channel Productions. He has some upcoming videos and stuff on YouTube. Go check him out. JB Scale Graphics if you want your look for Bigfoot, Bad Habit, Obsessed, Against the Grain, Heavy Hitter, Overkill Evolution for your RC truck. Go ahead and take a look at him. He does all the decals, officially licensed of all those trucks. So if you want the best, you got the best. JB Scale Graphics. There we go. And also
that should be the new slogan for JB Scale Graphics.
What is it?
You want the best, you got the best. Dan G.J. Gosh for JB Scale Graphics.
Hell yeah. Let's see here. And also, Joey Sylvester and J Concepts. Joey Sylvester and High Octane Coffee. He's been with us from the start. Mm-hmm. So when we got the ball rolling, he was there from the start. And he has hooked us up with plenty of product to give away. Because of last year's COVID, it was kind of hit us a little bit. So we'll get the ball running and do some High Octane giveaways. And also J Concepts, take a look at their stuff. They also have, they're part of official licensed Bigfoot decals and official licensed USA 1 decals. Mm-hmm. And they have top-notch bodies, parts for outside of monster trucks. They also have short course, no prep drag racing. So it's going to be pretty cool. Next week's guest is going to be on the fly. I'll try to get someone on. I will be in Montana on that Tuesday night. So I'll be try to do that. And also, thank you, Isaac. J Concepts is also official license for Samson. So if you try to contact that, you can get a whole fleet of RC monster trucks. Yep. And you have your own Monster Jam show and Monster Truck show. Have all the good heavy hitters. So I think it's pretty cool. Now, yeah. I guess I'll introduce our guest here. And
I wanted to mention one quick thing. Oh yeah. Rest in peace to original Slipknot drummer Joey Jordison. I wanted to mention that there's a lot of people in the monster community. They're also metalheads. Joey is on one of my top 5 drummer lists, along with Neil Peart, who's also passed away. So, rest in peace, Joey Jordison. Your music will forever live on, and your memory will as well. So, I just wanted to quickly put that out there as well.
Rock on, yeah. And also, thank you, fans, for all the likes, 5-star reviews on iTunes, the shares and the subscriptions, and also listening on Spotify. Thank you again. I should have released last week's episode on it, but I kind of wanted to honor Scott and just did it live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll get the ball back and rolling on iTunes and Spotify, but just last week's episode was a little bit more deep, and I wanted to do it like that.
Oh, is he there still? Cheech, you there, bud? Oh, Cheech just died. We'll bring him back in a second here. Oh, Cheech, what happened? But, yeah, well, let's introduce our guest, since we're going to be waiting for Cheech here. Nope, he's back. Everybody, Cheech is back.
I don't like that camera. I don't like that camera at all. So
oh my
close.
Goodness. Joshua, Cheech got changed. Think you switching your webcam over? There we go. Okay, there we go. All right,
hold up.
Oh.
Orange Cassidy.
Okay. All right, Cheech, why don't you introduce our guest?
Why don't you?
You were about to.
I was in technical difficulties, and now I'm embarrassed.
Introduce him.
Okay. So anyway, it's Mikeal Christensen.
What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike? I dropped the ball on that intro, and I was like, on my webcam, man, that stinks.
We just roll with the punches, man.
That's right.
We just roll with it.
You've been stuttering ever since this podcast started, so I think you're struggling all day today.
Yes, I have been. I have been struggling like no other. It's just one of those days, I guess. One of those days.
Yeah.
But so we'll go from the start here, and how did you get into the monster truck world? I know from your father and stuff, but what got you the interest to pursue further being in the monster truck industry?
Well, I mean, obviously, everybody knows my story. I mean, my dad's going on 29 years, and I mean, I was 5 when he first started, and I just wanted, I just wanted to carry on the name, carry on Dragon Slayer. That was my goal when I was 15, when I first started driving. That was the truck I started in. And once he kind of made the decision to step out of it for a little bit and started working for the company, I then went and worked for the company. I started crewing for my dad in Donkey Kong, and then we moved over to Max D. But then I kind of always had the reputation that I worked in the shadow of my dad. And, I wanted to prove that I could do what I could do without having to rely on my dad. So then I took over Lindsay Wink. We had 3-4 years together, and I mean, it was a great experience to have a different caliber driver. I mean, because between Craig and Lindsay, they're two totally different driving styles. And my last year with the company, I was then with Damon, who was completely opposite from those two. All three great guys, great drivers, but I learned a lot from each of them. But personal things happened in my life. I had to kind of step out and step away and take care of my family and make better decisions on supporting my kids. And got the call from Cretan, and I worked for Jim for 3 years off and on, depending on his decision or my decision. But then I got tired of always making money for someone else. I mean, I knew how to work on them. I knew how to drive them. I knew how to book them and transport them. And I knew the whole aspect of the business on my own. And it was like, well, hell, I can do this for myself. I just got to, find a way to get my own team up and going. And my brother, Paul, came down to the World Finals the last year I was with Jim. And we just kind of joked about it, making up our own team and doing our own thing, and, possibly even teaming up with Craig. But I think my dad was at the point where it was too complicated to try to figure out who owned what and who paid for what and who did this and that. And so me and Paul thought it'd be better off to branch out and just do our own thing. And about 3 years ago is when we created Throttle Monsters, and heck, now we can't slow down. We're building a 6th truck this September. We're going to have 6 race trucks. We got 1 ride truck, and desperately looking for crew guys and drivers.
I think the first time that I started hearing about you was with Cretan, and I think you came up here to Grand Prairie with him. You were with Christian Norman, and that's the first time I got to see you drive and really talk to you. I was actually in a wheelchair for that. I had a broken ankle, and you impressed the heck out of me that weekend. You were very professional, and you guys were just awesome. And you mentioned you wanted to get out of the shadow of your dad, and I feel like that's any father-son combination in motorsports or even in general, because you look at Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jr., you look at even John Forrest, even with his daughters, or another drag racing, Kurt Johnson and Warren Johnson. You look at that, and I feel like you're is that a bad thing to want to step out of the shadow of your father? Or do you think it's a good thing to do that? Because there's sometimes some negativity that can come from that.
I mean, I always took it as a good thing. I mean, because then I could prove to everybody that I don't necessarily need him to basically pave the way for me. I can take all the tools and all the knowledge and everything that he taught me, and I can do it for myself. I mean, because working for Craig, working for Jimmy Cretin, working with Damon Bradshaw, working with Lindsey Wink, even Norm Miller, Rod Schmidt, like there were so many guys that I crewed for, learned different aspects of the business from each of them, and then kind of created, my own thing by each of them. I mean, I got all of those guys, especially Craig. Craig, my dad, the most. I mean, that guy has literally taught me every single nut and bolt on that truck. And I mean, Jim has taught me a lot. A lot of people think, Jim's kind of a jerk and grumpy and always upset. But you know what? That guy is very, very smart. And there's a lot of things that he is kind of, pounded into my head to make a business actually work. And, and there's a lot of things that he does that I necessarily didn't agree with. But, if I had my own team, I wouldn't have to do it that way. I would want to do it my way. So there's different aspects of every person that has kind of molded me into being, now this 5-truck business owner.
So when you first started the team with you and Paul, was there any blocks on the road, learning the business side of it, with, that, maybe Craig and Jimmy have taught you to prepare yourself with having your own business?
I mean, not really. I mean, Paul, he has a very successful construction company. And so the business side of it, at least, legal things and, setting up the accounts and setting up the licenses and all that stuff. That's mainly all that stuff Paul handled. The monster truck side of it, I mean, I already had the contacts for promoters. I already had contacts for events. And, I already knew going into this that I could take care of the monster truck side of it. I could keep the trucks busy, and he could kind of keep the business, up and legit and, make sure everything is in order that we need to have in order for this to work. And obviously it worked.
It seems like throughout the last, probably 10 years, the multi-truck team has gone, like, there's a lot of teams that just have 2 trucks, but you had the teams like Bill Payne, now with Zane Ritchie with 4 trucks, you have 5 and building a 6. Do you think, the way that the monster truck industry is changing is because of, the teams like yourself, Bill Payne, Zane Ritchie, that have all these bigger truck teams that can promote their own shows instead of, and even Jimmy Cretin doing Monster Jam shows?
I mean, we're not doing it to do our own shows. Like, we've tried it, we've done a couple. Some are great, some really sucked. But with everything that we got going on, we have so many shows that we're turning away shows. And now you have, with COVID, opening back up and people doing shows, there's so many events out there in every crack and crevice in every county of every state that people are out doing shows. And the more we build, the more we can keep busy, the more I can satisfy promoters that want my trucks. And so we made a decision just this year to build the 6th one because we had no intentions on building the 6th. We were just going to run the race truck with the ride truck and send it on its way. But now I'm in a situation where I already got 4 trucks locked in at one place. I now need to take care of my other promoters with 2 other trucks.
So, and with that also, you have some, some crew guys, and we're going to talk about Too Tall. He's a very good friend of mine. I'm considered one of my best friends, and he has basically took, your second group of trucks, and I'm stuttering again. Dang it!
You get nervous
talking about Too Tall? Yeah, Too Tall, man. How is having Too Tall on your team?
I've known Too Tall back when we both crewed in Monster Jam days. I mean, he bounced around with Bari. He was really committed with Bari, and I was really committed with Wink at the time. And back then, I mean, a lot of people always thought I was a jerk and an a-hole. I mean, I don't know if I can actually say the word here, but not everybody could understand my personality. And Too Tall was one of those guys that just kind of flowed with all of us. You know, like there's a handful of guys there that really didn't care about anything, that, you know, could just speak their mind and get away with it. And I mean, I've always kind of been that way. And Tutal became a really good friend back then. And I mean, I consider him one of my best friends now, just because we work so much together. He treats the team like they're his own. It's his money that he's spending to keep the trucks maintained, to keep them going, to make sure that they're 100%. And I couldn't have asked for a better guy to basically run 2 trucks because of how committed he is, and how dedicated to that team. That he wants them to be flawless. He takes care of them, he cleans them, maintains them. Like I really couldn't find a better guy. If I could find 2 more of him, I'd be golden.
So when you guys came out with Vendetta and Kamikaze, especially with Vendetta, you came out with a ball of flames, like the truck, from the truck design to the red chassis to how hard you guys were running. Like, you guys hit it hard right away. Right. What was the idea behind the names of the trucks and the designs? That's because we haven't really seen like a body like that's on Vendetta a lot. Everybody was still doing the Raptor trophy trucks and normal truck bodies. What led you to go with something different?
Well, the Kamikaze name is the name that Paul and my dad created when they teamed up. So when Craig was in Wicked, they then built my truck now, which was the original Kamikaze.
Okay.
And Paul and my dad campaigned Toughest Tour as Wicked, as Wicked and Kamikaze. And I think that was the time when they started to build Dragon Slayer, the Jeep.
Yeah. And
I can't remember if they did Toughest Tour together as Dragon and Kamikaze. I think they did a handful of shows. But once we then started, once me and Paul agreed to, create a team, we then built another in-house chassis, which is the Wrecking Machine truck now that Hunter is driving. That is the Kamikaze that Paul used to drive. I then took over his old chassis, made some changes. At the first 2 years, I left it silver just because I didn't want to tear it all down and repowder coat it. Left the chassis silver. I just changed the accents from blue to red just because red's my favorite color. I think it looks a lot better. And plus, it kind of ties in better with my body. The body my dad bought, I think on an auction or on eBay. It was something that he was buying for another project that he was going to do. But the body just sat up in the rafters. It was a 51. It was a pickup. It was cool. And I kind of conned him in of letting me take it. Told him I'll replace it. And took it, gutted it. I mean, it had working doors. It had a floorboard. It had a firewall. I mean, it was a legit full cab. And kind of cut it all up and got it to fit. I had to narrow the hood a little bit. I had to widen the hood a little bit from the back to the front. So it's kind of V'd. So the back is a little bit wider. I had to widen the cab just 4 or 5 inches on each side. And then I had to lengthen the roof about 3 inches for it to fit on that cab how it should. And after, 3 months of talking to Mikeal Arndt, he helped me design it. My wife helped me design it. We wanted something that was completely different, but kind of represented all the bullshit that I had to go through to be where I'm at. I mean, I've always had the gray dark cloud over me, and everybody in my entire career has always basically said that I can't do what I'm doing, and I'll never be able to do what I'm doing. And so this name is basically me giving them the middle finger and be like, yep, see, proved you all wrong.
I like that.
And Jacob Smallwood goes, yeah, where did the name come from?
That's where
he just said that, and then you explain about that. But I thought that'd be pretty cool. How you just talked about that, and pretty much had the icing on the cake of you winning the last year's Toughest Monster Truck Tour championship. Yep. You took the reins off of Team Bigfoot that had basically a stranglehold on that, including with Snakebite with Josh Gibson. But you've been the first non-Bigfoot truck to win the championship. So how did that feel for you, having the icing on the cake, with now that name and the meaning behind it, now showing people, hey, now I'm a champion?
Well, I mean, there's good and bad about it. The good thing is, I did it. It was awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better year. and me and Paul did that entire tour, just us. We had no crew guys. Paul would fly in and out. So in between shows, I'd basically take everything to the next town, unload it all, look at all the catastrophe blown up crap we have everywhere, kind of claw it all back together and continue on the next week. And for me, it was pretty cool to be able to be in that position, to just be consistent. I told Scott Heaton the whole year, I just have to be consistent. I don't have to win everything. I just got to be consistent, and I'll have a fighting chance. And for the longest time, Paul was the guy leading the points forever. And then Jerry Beck jumped up a couple times for a couple weeks, and then it was like the last 3 weeks in a row, I finally got ahead, and then I just never looked back. And then I knew if I was in that position, we were already halfway through. COVID really wasn't, an issue at the time because nobody was thinking that it was actually going to shut everything down. Was really strong leaving out of Saginaw. I think I had like a 13 or 15 point lead, and it was a couple weeks for us to kind of regroup and wait for the next week. The bad part about it is everybody gives me crap about how we didn't do the full tour. That I wouldn't have won if we did the whole tour. Well, basically my response back is we didn't do the whole tour. We did like 16 events, and I put myself in that position to win it. So maybe you should have put yourself in that position to win it. It's like a rain call for NASCAR. If you're in the lead and it starts raining and you've already done X amount of laps, that guy's automatically a winner once they call it. A win is a win. You don't like it, go run for someone else. How about that?
So, with the popularity of the team and getting, faster and faster, when was the decision to, okay, we need more trucks. We need, to step up our game and, have another, more identities and more people in the trucks?
Well, last year, I think it was, maybe, our cousin, Zach, he's drove for my dad in the past. He would fill in for when Paul couldn't, and I'm talking like mid-2000s. And my dad took Zach and Paul to Australia a couple times when Craig was going over there a lot. And so Zach had the history of driving monster trucks and being involved, and he kind of wanted to build a truck for himself. He's also in business with Paul in the construction side. And so Zach made the decision to build one of the trucks, which Zach owns one of them. So technically, Throttle Monsters only owns 4. So we're building a 5th, but we just campaign and run Zach's as like it's our own. So like we're all part of one team. Zach owns the Paul Cohen chassis that we have. We built it the same time we built the CRD. It just made sense for us. If Zach's going to want to build a chassis, you might as well build another truck to put 2 trucks together, so you don't have a single truck going up and down the road. You're going to be spending the money on fuel and expenses and a guy to fix it and maintain it. Zach can't go because of his construction job. So we might as well just invest in the second truck, and then we could keep it busy as well with his.
So let's talk about the Jurassic Attack identity, because that's flying off the handles right now. And
Yep.
How did that come up? Is Don Frankish still in the mix? I know he's been promoting the truck a lot, being very proud of it. How did that come up with, and how do you like about the reaction of the Jurassic Attack?
I mean, it was me and Paul it'd be last year sometime. I mean, we were just wanting to think of something that would just be off the hook, that kids would love, that people would love, an old name. And I mean, I can't remember who thought of it, but I mean, it was something that would have been stupid not even to pursue. And so I wrote Don on social media a couple times. I had his phone number, but I don't know if it was his right one. He would never answer. And so like a couple months went by, and I told Paul, I'm like, look, I can't get a hold of him. I don't know if he just knows it's me, doesn't want to talk to me, or if he's just legitimately that busy. But then Paul reached out, and they talked for several weeks back and forth. And we don't rightfully own the name, but and Don had a lot of involvement on creating the identity, like the artwork of it now. He's always wanted to come out with a robotic dinosaur, and we changed up the colors a little bit to that the light blue and green, and we now have the robotic eye in Paul's truck. Well, we did until he decided to destroy the body in Nashville. Got to get a couple more of those made. But, I mean, he still plays a pretty big role in what Jurassic does. And so now with all the shows that we do, excluding Jam, we have merch, we have shirts and hats and pennants, and, we got everything that Jurassic can offer. And the sad thing is it's a dinosaur, and kids freaking love dinosaurs. And it blows me away because, I never even concepted and thought about it until we had it. And I'll bet you 7 out of 10 kids that goes through autographs or pit parties are wearing a dinosaur shirt. And a lot of them,
that's true, yeah.
histories of, the history of dinosaurs. And some of them are explaining to Paul, certain dinosaurs that they love and that they like. And Paul's like, oh, well, yeah, that's great. I have no idea what that even is. So he would have to go back and Google what they're even talking about and be like, oh, yeah, sure enough. Yeah, that's dinosaurs. And, I mean, now with us having Jurassic is just killing everybody else's merch sales. I mean, it's doing double or triple than what Vendetta or Kamikaze can do. But still money goes right in the bank account.
Yeah.
See, as a Canadian monster truck fan, as an Albertan too, I love seeing the name back out there, because right. I remember when I was a kid seeing it in its original kind of tan body, back in the day, and seeing it now and even getting to know Don over the last couple of years and getting to hang out with him. It's awesome to see that name back. And another name that we haven't talked about is Wrecking Machine. Yeah. How did that one come about? Because I love the design of that truck. Like that wrap is phenomenal. And even just with the old school body, how did that come about?
Well, me and Jeff Souza are pretty good friends. I mean, Jeff Souza is probably in the same realm as Too Tall, is probably one of my best friends. I've known Jeff for probably over 10 years. I met him through a mutual friend that neither one of us talk to anymore. And so it just kind of worked out that we became pretty close, and, we hang out with each other's families, as often as we can. Hunter at the time was in a Mini. Jeff has always allowed me to come to his house and, make a mess in his parking lot and bring trucks and work on stuff and kind of overtake his garage and his driveway. And Hunter was in a Mini. He was getting a little bit older. He was 15, 16. I mean, Jeff and Hunter both are probably over 6 foot. And, Hunter was 15 years old driving a Mini, and his knees were, almost touching his forehead. And I was like, man, that kid already has it figured out. Like, maybe we should put him in a big size truck, in a full size. Jeff was at the time driving for Tony Canedo, another good guy out of California. He was driving the Enforcer, and I kind of just wanted to see what Jeff could do in a newer version truck. I mean, the Enforcer was the original Tropical Thunder, and so I just wanted to see what Jeff could do, in one of our chassis, in one of our trucks. And he actually came to Canada. Edmonton was his first time in one of our trucks. He did flip it over backwards, and I proceeded to just chew his ass all the way to the trailer. But he did a really good job. He's one of those guys that is very consistent, and then he beats himself up when he's not consistent enough. But he runs hard, he drives hard, he does a phenomenal job, and does bare minimal damage to the trucks, which, I mean, I don't care if guys break stuff, and sometimes shit happens. Like, you can't really control it. And when you go out there and intentionally roll in racing, hitting a turn tire, Jeff, Charles ruined a 64. Yeah, it's kind of frowned upon. The Wrecking Machine thing, they kind of had an idea. I mean, because that was the name of his Mini. They had this idea of what they kind of wanted it to be. And I think Jeff was actually having a conversation with my wife about the artwork. And my wife was the one that created the guy and, the image of what it should be. And Michael Arnott, again, I mean, I sent him our ideas and what we were after. The number 9 is like Jeff and Hunter's, lucky number. And I made sure the 9 was in on it. And the cool thing about the 64 is they had, originally we were going to do like a 55 or a 57 Chevy or something, or 72. They have a 64 Chevy pickup that's been passed down for generations. And I think Jeff's dad finally passed it down to Jeff 2 or 3 years ago. And now Jeff was getting ready to, start restoring it and finish it so he could pass it down to Hunter. So it's kind of a pickup that's been in the Souza family for quite some time. And Jeff called and wanted to know if that was something they could do. He would buy the first body, we would then build a mold off of it, and then we could do whatever. And he bought the first body just so he had the 64. We made the changes that we wanted to do, and now we produce our own bodies for it, and now it's a 64.
That's sweet.
I know a few trucks on your fleet that had it like Zach's, the black Kamikaze.
Yep.
When we was with you guys in Enid, Oklahoma, you guys ran that, and also the Rockwell truck.
Right.
And so you guys use that type of body quite often, but now
the Rockwell body
that Rockwell.
It was the same body as Kamikaze because it was still in one piece.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a body for it. The other Kamikaze Raptor body was destroyed, so I just peeled the Rockwell off, and then we made it into Kamikaze. But yes, it's the same.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. And then that was a interesting collaboration. You almost had, I think I remember one time Aaron Kane was actually supposed to debut that, correct? And Santa Clara, and then this crap storm happened, and everything just went poof. But
fun fact about Aaron Kane, he'll be driving one of our trucks this Saturday and Sunday in Joliet, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Juliet. There's a lot of shows, and then Too Tall is gonna be in Green Bay that same weekend.
Yeah. Too Tall's in Jennerstown, PA. Lost oil pressure in his motor, and I had to do Juliet for Elliot with a dinosaur, and so I actually took one of our old dinosaur bodies that we had laying around. It's pretty rough. I threw it on Zach's truck. They're actually heading to Paxton now, so they could do a show on Wednesday, and then they'll turn around and drop Hunter back off to Too Tall, so Too Tall can then go to Green Bay, and then Aaron will then be driving Zach's truck as Jurassic Attack in Joliet.
That's a lot of moving around.
It is. So this week, the first week, that we'll have 3 dinosaurs out at different shows.
Oh man, once again, that's proving the point how popular that truck is right now.
Everybody loves it.
So also, the cool thing about what you guys been doing. Also, you guys got the ride truck. I saw the ride truck in Montana. I think you guys got the ride truck from the Twins, correct?
Yep. We got their Monster Moose, or now it has the Troublemaker body on it. But they want the body back. I just haven't had time to get a body produced for it. Not quite sure what we're going to do to it. We might make it the Rockwell Red ride truck, or a Kamikaze ride truck, or we might do something else. We might make it the Thunder from Down Under, and Jeff Souza can drive it. I don't know yet.
Oh my gosh, that'd be weird.
Well, that's how
he was
introduced. Is he was a underwear model and a former Thunder from Down Under dancer.
Oh, dang it!
Yeah, dang it.
So another driver that you had drive for you, which I've gotten to meet a couple times, was with Dawson Reyes. And he, I don't know what event it was. It might have been Jennerstown, but there was on the Backchannel Productions coverage. He absolutely he was phenomenal behind the wheel of one of your guys' trucks. How did you get connected with Dawson? I know he did some stuff with the Bill Payne team. That's how I met him. But how did you guys get connected?
We did the Phoenix Fair together. He at that time still worked for Bill Payne, and I think it was 4 of Bill's trucks and 2 of mine. And we just did it was 4 shows or 4 days and 2 shows a day, but 2 trucks sat out every day or every other. I don't know. But that's where I met him at. He drove Spitfire for Bill. He did a pretty good job. When he first started here, I really only hired him just to be a crew guy. But then, Zach and Paul are obviously busy with their construction company, and there were some weeks that Zach really couldn't go out on the road, and so we would just have Dawson drive. And at first, I mean, Dawson was one of those guys that he was young, where you could still kind of mold him into a good, reliable driver. And I mean, there's probably a handful of times where I just wanted to twist his neck a little bit just because he wouldn't listen. But over time, he was getting a lot better. And now, I mean, he's a really good driver. He understands what he's doing, and he is actually coming back for 1 week to drive Zach's truck the week after Aaron does up in Medford, Oregon.
Gotcha. So I got one hard-hitting question for you there, Mike.
Yep.
You're upset. Your love of the White Monster energy drinks. What got you liking that stuff? Too Tall says that you might as well put it like a thing and have it just flow through your veins.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know what it is. I mean when I worked for Jim, I mean none of our routing was really the greatest, and so when you'd go from Tampa, Florida to Anaheim, California, and you had 2.5 days to get there, you had to keep something to keep you awake. And I really don't care for any of the monsters that has sugar in it, because after one or two, it's just too bitter. And now, I drink it like water. I probably have 6 to 8 a day. Sometimes the big ones, sometimes the small ones. So I don't know. It's my water, I guess.
Fair enough.
That is.
It's not. And I thought my energy drink consumption was bad.
No, mine's pretty bad.
Yeah, I had another hard-hitting question from Too Tall, and he asked me to ask you, how's it being a dad?
Being a dad?
Yeah, that's what Too Tall told me to ask you. So I was like, okay.
Well,
you can deal with him when he gets back.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about it. I mean, I love my 4 girls to death. Each one of them have their own weird, twisted twerks, and some of them I could just throw a punch if I could get away with it. But they are, I mean, they're special in their own individual ways, and I mean, I couldn't be really more proud of them of how they're becoming.
I got a question here from one of our good buddies on the podcast, Mr. Brandon Culpepper. He says, "Hey, when you interview Mikeal, tell him his favorite neighbor says hi."
Yeah. Been a long time since I've seen that favorite neighbor of mine.
That's a good dude.
Is there still? I'm gonna actually go back and talk about when you were crew chiefing for the Lucas Oil Truck, and how was having Lindsay as a driver? Because I had him around to the 2016 season, and when you guys were running the Lucas Oil name, was a crew member for you? Did you handle the pressure? How did you handle the pressure of that truck being a sponsor truck in general?
Well, I mean, I feel like I took care of the truck just like if it was my own. I mean, when I got it, Billy Shirley Jr. had it. And then when he departed from the company, they had, I think, Dan Fiegel and Neil Tedesco on it. And they were too young, really didn't, know a lot at that time. So they struggled a little bit where, I mean, every truck I've always been a part of, I've always taken pride of my truck. I mean, my dad has pounded in my head from day one that your image is everything about you. So if your truck's clean and respected and makes all of its passes, like, people will take notice. And so I had the opportunity to tear it all apart and change a bunch of stuff. Jam actually let me, powder coat 4 bars and sway bars and add some red accents to it. And then I added the lights underneath the fuel cell and above the cradle, and just add a bunch of different, my own little twist to it to make it look better. But it being a sponsored truck, I mean, Lucas Oil always took care of us every time we were with them. Kelly Gunn, who played a big role for them, was phenomenal. All their reps, when all the displays that we did, there wasn't a bad person that was involved in Lucas Oil. And I mean, they always took care of Lindsay. They always took care of me, and it was pretty fun. But me and Wheat did really well together. I mean, I think our first 7 or 8 stadium shows we did, we won. and we were like the guy to beat at that time, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of battles, a lot of close calls, and a lot of damage. So I know MetLife, he did 2 backflips in a run, and that was, I guess, my doing because I'm over the headset because he didn't, he landed the first one. He's like, okay, now what? Well, turn around and do it again. So he did, and he took both spindles off, and I mean, it was cool, but even doing it, I mean, he didn't even win. So, but I mean, Lindsey was like a brother to me. He was, we knew so much about each other. We would always hang out together. I mean, he wasn't one of those that would have to go out and party and do stupid things. We would always just hang out in our rooms and just talk about life and trucks and the good old days.
So we have somebody here that's, given maybe a suggestion for your new truck. Phil, I never know how to pronounce his name. Vicenza says, I think your new truck should have a pigeon design.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it does, we'll make sure that Paul drives it.
Yeah, he killed the pigeon. The Arizona accident.
Yeah.
Now, you also today on your team, Red. I believe is Redline still with you guys?
Yeah, Redline is still with us. I mean, they're a great company that we are so fortunate and thankful for them to be a part of. They supply us all of our oil and brake fluid, and I mean, some of their stuff is incredibly crazy. I mean, there's gear oil that, like, you dump it out and it looks like it's water, like it has the thickness of water. But once it's actually being used and it gets hot, it like changes into like the glob monster. I'm convinced that you could put a stick in a bucket, come back, and overnight the oil would rise up the stick to the top, because it doesn't matter what that stuff is in, that stuff gets everywhere. But everything is always soaked, and there's always oil. Like, we've never had a ring and pinion or any gear seized because of lack of good oil. That is by far the best oil I've ever had to be with.
One question that I've always wanted to know. So going back to the Edmonton Throwdown show, I think it was 2 years ago was the last Throwdown show they had there. You guys were there that one, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
What was happening with the was it you guys were you having ignition problems, or what was going on in that show? I've always wondered.
With my truck?
Yeah, because I remember you were having some issues at that show.
Yeah, on my truck, well, on all of our trucks, we have cables that run inside our cab to our master switches. And one of the aluminum arms that clips onto the power switch actually loosened up. And so when I would turn the power on, it would barely turn the switch on, but it wouldn't like actually snap on in place.
Okay.
And so when I'm going out there and I jump and land, it actually would shut the power off and the truck would die. There's a couple times when I raced Kohler, I would, jump, make the turn, because we were doing like St. Louis style racing there.
Yep.
When I'd make my first turn and hit the next jump, my truck would die, and I would literally have to shut the power off and back on so fast that the truck would then refire, and then I could continue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it sucked. But actually, Jim was the guy that came over and figured it out, Cretan. He was telling me, like, this is what you need to do, and this is what is happening. And I mean, because I checked it, thought it worked, and he was the one that actually figured it out. Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy talking about how sometimes the bugs can affect someone's whole day in racing, and it's kind of hidden. You know what I mean? And,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, it ruined all 3 days for me. I mean, I fought it Friday night, Saturday night, and then it wasn't until Sunday afternoon until we finally caught it to actually make it work.
I just find it crazy that like you're like turning the power on and off like while you're doing the race. That just blows my mind right now.
Yeah, a couple times. I can't remember who I was racing, but I mean, because that was the only way I could get it to work. I shut it off, turned it back on, and then went into the corner, and I mean, I actually won a couple rounds. So I was like, well, that was sweet. Hopefully I don't have to do that every time.
Well, we have a fan question from Brian Vargos from on YouTube. Says, I got 2 questions for you, Mike. how would you like if they create your truck into a diecast for, I guess, you said from Spin Master, but that could be anyone. My second question is if the team did a Nine Dinosaur like a T-Rex? Question mark. So I guess two questions there.
Well, the first question, there's something in the works. The second question, there's something else in the works, just not a T-Rex.
There we go. Handled both like a champ. Next question.
So,
Man.
we've talked with you. We talked about other teams and other trucks and stuff like that. Who are some of your favorite people to go up against?
Well, obviously my dad, Paul. Sousa's always fun to race, just because it's enjoyable to just razz him afterwards after I beat him. A guy I really enjoy racing is Jim Cretan. Just because, nobody really understands the history between me and Jim, but I've known Jim, for 25 years. Jim was my babysitter before he got hardcore into monster trucks.
Oh, wow.
And, he's been a family friend for so long that, he's like, the crazy uncle that that everybody has in their family. And then basically my biggest rival that I hate going up against, but I also love going up against, is Ryan. Ryan has beat me. I'm like 0-72 against Ryan. I have never beat that guy. It doesn't matter what truck I'm in. And he's just always had my number. But it's always fun to line up against any Anderson. They always bring their A game, and it's just fun to be on the track with them.
So, you guys, like you said, you have the fleet of trucks happening, all five. Now pretty soon 6. Actually, yeah, with the sixth one. Yep. Obviously you guys try to make each truck same and universal, but is there outside the chassis, does each truck have its own individual twist? Like if when Too Tall was building the truck for him to drive, he asks you guys, but if you wanted something in the truck that would help him or whatnot, hopefully you guys say okay about it. But is there a little knickknacks, a little difference between each truck?
Not really. I think most of our trucks are identical. Too Tall has a CRD. Paul has an Eddie Micah chassis. Zach has a Paul Cohen chassis. I have an in-house chassis, and Hunter has an in-house. And our 6th truck will be, I believe, a metal shop chassis. And so I think Paul's plan is we're just going to buy a chassis from every creator and then see who has the best, because we don't have any trucks the same other than my Vendetta and now Wrecking Machine. So maybe when I get a new truck, I'll just take over a Patrick and we'll be like, let's see which truck actually works and handles the best. Internally, all of our motors are the same. Zach runs a little bit bigger cam. But outside of that, they're pretty much identical unless it's Paul's truck. He claims they're the same, but I think he's full of crap. I think he runs different heads, and he ran a progressive injector, and then he took that out of the injector, and now it's back to the original. He claims that he loves a spool, and he would rather take a spool. I hate spools. Too Tall hates spools. It's just there's a lot of the same stuff, but it's I guess a spool and a locker is a little bit different. But it just really depends on your driving style. If Too Tall ever wanted to change something, we're always open to allowing him to. It's just he really hasn't wanted to change anything other than we bought him a brand new seat. That way he had a seat that actually fit him. That way he's the main guy on that team. I would hate for him to go down and get hurt, because then the rig's just going to sit there.
See, I just find it funny that you guys are just going to have a smorgasbord of different chassis throughout the team, and with the Metal Shop being the next one, like Metal Shop builds some awesome stuff. Like I remember seeing Corey Snyder's Toxic as it was being built, and you see what they did with Zane with his new truck and Dennis Anderson. It just shows like their name is getting out there even more and more now, and that's going to be awesome to see a Metal Shop chassis in your fleet eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's when Paul first told me about it, I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna send them all the parts, and then they're gonna do like the whole debut with the smoke and the door opening up, and I get to drive it out, and I'm like, heck yeah, I can't wait. And he's like, screw that, they're just gonna build the truck and then we'll assemble it. Like, oh man, I don't get like a big debut. He's like, who the hell says that you're even gonna get it? Oh, okay, never mind.
You'll just have to have that. You're gonna have to have that debut at your guys' shop then.
Yeah, apparently. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'll take my 5-year-old chassis and still beat all you guys.
Man, it's crazy to think about the smorgasbords of chassis that you guys have, which is pretty cool though. I mean, like you said, you see what's going on, and then get a Dan Patrick one, and then bada bing, bada boom. You guys have
no offense to anybody, but I think I would want a Patrick chassis just because, I mean, Dan's been, a big inspiration in this company and in this industry. And, I mean, he's kind of the forefather of building chassis. And so they produce a really nice piece. It was something that I had to make the decision on. I mean, I probably would go with a Patrick chassis. But I don't get that say. So maybe next year, after our year of destruction, I can break my chassis bad enough. Then we got to order one.
There we go.
Sorry,
awesome.
Paul.
Any social media people can follow you at?
Yeah, we got Team Throttle Monsters. It's on Instagram and Facebook, and then you got my personal page, Mikeal Christensen. I mean, Michael spelled a little bit different, but I'm on both. And you got Paul Jensen on there. You got David Olfert, Too Tall, Hunter Souza, Jeff Souza. Don't have one, but neither does Zach. So those would be the only 4 or 5 people that you can follow us on social media. All of our sponsors are listed. I mean, we got a handful of great sponsors that do everything for us. And so, I mean, you can find all that right on our team page.
We just got a comment here from Doug McSweeney. He says, I'll smoke debut you out of the door at the shop.
Joe McSweeney. That's a good dude right there. Poor guy got in a nasty dirt bike wreck and finally fully recovered and back to work. So
that's awesome. Cool deal.
Thing to ask you about being a dad, because he's the one who gives them what they want more than you do.
I have no idea. I might have to ask him.
Yeah, I don't know. He said he said just ask one question. I'm like, okay. So we were more interested of Hunter's life, but anyway, that's a different story.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's true.
But man, Mike, it's awesome to have you on, and thank you for being on.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, it's always good to see you guys. Guess it's only been a couple months since I seen you, Cheech, and Brad. Hell, it's been a couple years?
2 years. And it's kind of funny, when we were at the show in Edmonton, I wanted to do an interview with you there, but you started having the issues with the truck, and I didn't kind of want to bother you when all that was happening. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it's come full circle now. So it's awesome to have you on, man. And hopefully it's not another 2 years until I get to see you guys run again and we get to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. So next time you just have to bug some of the rest of the guys on the team, get Paul in here, he can talk his crap and go from there.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that.
Yeah. But well, folks, thank you for watching. Once again, thank you to High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, Justin Stories. By the way, happy birthday, Justin. Back Channel Productions, 6B Apparel, J Concepts, and once again, Bradley Shaw Designs. That's this way. My camera's backwards. Next week, I will try to get someone on. Pretty much, I got news that I was going to Montana, but I think I can have some time to hopefully be on, and hopefully the background will be just like mountains, or maybe an elk. I don't know. Maybe Bigfoot will just walk by.
Make sure Too Tall's nowhere near around it.
All right, especially if he's driving a Volvo. It's real true. New.
Brand new.
Brand new.
By the way, guys, if you also want to follow any of me or Cheech on social media, you can find me at the Monster Truck Canucker. Just check me out on Facebook. Bradley Shaw will be a picture of me as a baby. So, yeah. Yeah, my mom gave me a bunch of USB drives of old home movies. I was watching them last night and shocked at how big my freaking head was when I was a little child. So I look like an alien baby.
You can find me on AOL Instant Messenger. Just type in Dan Cheech Agosh and you can chat me. Bloop bloop, pop up. My MySpace is still up, I think.
No, your aim was restored 429.
Yeah, because I actually built a 429 Ford Jet, the Cobra Jet. That was a school project. Sold that motor to get me money to go down to Florida to start working for Monster Jam. But
and now you're back in Illinois.
Yeah, but now I'm in Illinois. But anyway, yeah, AIM.com. Also MySpace. Let's see what else.
That's 2.
That's 2, right? I still have my flying pigeons. My messenger pigeons, you can go over
that's 3.
Send me some birds over there, and I still have the Pony Express. You guys can reach me out any way possible.
You still on Tinder too?
You just want Tinder, you can go on dates. Also, if you just want to go outside your front porch and start yelling my name, I won't answer unless you're next door to me. Right. But if you just yell, maybe someone named Dan will be like, "What do you want?" or "Get that out of here," or "F off." So, see, I can't. So some situation may happen. So, smoke signals. Yes, that's another form. I'm new to that, Jacob. That social media is pretty new, Mister. Jacob Smallwood. Smoke signals. Just if you want to put a message in the bottle. I don't know how it's gonna get in Illinois. I don't even think I have to go to some river, some type of destination. Huh?
If it's meant to be, it'll make it to you.
Yeah. Hopefully. But there's different forms or hit me up on Facebook, my Instagram, same name, everything like that. So, once again, if you can, AIM, just look for me, and we'll go from there. Maybe I should just give him my Juno account.
Oh my goodness!
My one buddy hooked up his computer, and he still had the Walmart internet, dial-up Walmart internet that was still on. Remember back in the day when they sent you the AOL discs? They give you like a free 30-day trial, and you put it on your computer, and you try AOL, and you tell your friends, like, I only have 30 days to talk to you, and then after that, I'm done. Until they send you another one, and you put it back on your computer so you can talk back to your friends again and go from there. It's like, I got a new AOL. I can talk to you guys for another 30 days. After that, I'll see you at school.
Yeah.
I remember that stuff. It's freaking hilarious. Anyway, but yeah, that's the social media right there. But anything else, Brad?
Nope. Next week, Cheech will find somebody. If not, it'll be just me hanging out with whoever, or we'll figure something out for next week. Once again, rest in peace, Joy Jordison. I wanted to say that one more time. Lost a legend in the music industry. So it was awesome having you on, Mike, and it was an awesome episode. And as always, guys, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.
Cool.